Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're digging into something that maybe on the surface seems pretty niche, the whole appeal of the bobber motorcycle. But stick with us, because as we kind of unpack it, you'll see it actually taps into this really universal question. Why do we get so attached, so deeply connected to certain things, certain activities?
Right, what turns just an object or a hobby into something? Well, something much bigger.
Exactly. Like an extension of who we are, or maybe even a whole philosophy to live by. So our source for this is this really great interview we found with a very dedicated bobber rider.
Yeah, someone really living it.
Right. And our mission here, our goal, is to pull out the key insights, the sort of emotional core of why this bike style is so special, and more importantly, what that might teach you listening about, personal expression and maybe essentialism too.
That idea of stripping things back.
Yeah, figuring out what's really vital and letting go of the rest. So, okay, let's unpack this then. Out of all the motorcycle styles out there, why ride a bobber? What is it that makes it so special?
Well, yeah, and what's really compelling, I think, is that even though we're starting with a bike, the conversation, it very quickly opens up these deeper ideas. How an object can actually become a way to connect, a trigger for certain experiences, and, a pretty powerful statement about who you are.
A statement, yeah.
It really shows how valuable it is to explore, what people are passionate about, whatever that might be.
Absolutely. And the rider, their perspective really brought this home. We asked them, what's the very first feeling when you sit on your bobber? And the answer was just immediate, almost instinctive freedom in its rawest form.
Wow. Raw form.
Yeah. They talked about how a bobber, quote, strips away the extras. No flashy panels, no unnecessary chrome, just the rider, the machine, and the road. And, this isn't just like minimalism because it looks cool, is it?
No, it's deeper than that.
It goes right back to the origins, right? Post-World War II, riders would literally bob the fenders, chop things off, remove anything non-essential, not just for style, but for performance too, and just that really raw, stripped-down look.
That functional simplicity.
Exactly. And the rider said that simplicity, it makes the connection feel incredibly pure. Personal.
Yeah, and it's more than just less is more, isn't it? What's fascinating, I think, is how that intentional stripping down, it almost becomes this act of defiance.
Defiance, how so?
Well, against all the overcomplication, maybe. Against this, consumer culture that's always telling us we need more features, more layers, more stuff.
Okay.
The bobber kind of forces this, like you said, this radical focus, the lack of distraction. It actually enables a more direct, unmediated experience. It's almost like a philosophical statement rolling down the road, that maybe real freedom is actually found in what you don't have.
That's a really powerful way to frame it, radical focus. And that simplicity, that intention, it definitely seems to carry over into the ride itself.
Oh, for sure.
The rider really emphasized this point. They said, with a bobber, you don't just ride, you experience.
Experience. That's the key word.
Right. They explain how it's low, it's minimal, and it sort of intentionally makes you slow down.
Oh.
It's not designed for breaking speed records or cruising hundreds of miles on the highway.
Not a touring bike.
No, it's more about savoring the mile you're in, feeling every rumble, noticing every curve. It does feel kind of countercultural, doesn't it? In a world obsessed with faster, quicker, more efficient everything.
It really, really is. And it makes you think, how often do we, all of us, probably just focus on getting there, getting to the end point instead of actually enjoying the process, the journey itself.
Yeah, guilty as charged sometimes.
Right, so the bobber, in this light, it becomes this sort of physical reminder to be present, to actually value the doing, not just the destination. And it creates a different kind of sensory thing too, right? The wind, the engine vibrations, the road feel, that's all part of it, not just noise you tune out.
I can definitely see that. It's a potent difference, and it seems to go even deeper than just the act of riding. When we asked if a bobber is, more than just a motorcycle, the answer was emphatic. Absolutely.
No hesitation there.
None. The rider said, riding a bobber is like wearing your personality on two wheels. It's rebellious, minimalist, and timeless. People don't just look at it, they feel it. So for this person, it's clearly not just transport, it's a statement, a living statement about who they are.
And what's really compelling there is how this, essentially inanimate object, right, through its design, its history, its intention, it becomes such a deep reflection of identity. It's not just a machine for getting from point A to B. It's a symbol. It reflects these core values, these beliefs maybe. It really speaks to that basic human need we all have for self-expression.
Yeah, to stand out, be unique.
Exactly, to carve out our own identity, even through the things we choose, the things we surround ourselves with or embody, the craftsmanship involved, the history behind it, that deliberate lack of fussiness. It all adds up to this story of like an authentic, maybe slightly untamed spirit.
That's a really interesting perspective. Untamed spirit. Okay. And I think this gets us to the real heart of our deep dive today. Why this specific motorcycle out of all the options?
The core question, yeah.
And the writer's final thought on this was, I thought, incredibly insightful. They basically said, because a bobber doesn't just take me somewhere, it reminds me why I ride.
Oh, okay. Why I ride.
Yeah. It's about stripping life down to the essentials. Every time I ride, I feel connected to history, to the culture, and importantly, to myself.
Wow. That really brings it all together.
It really does. So, summing it up from the writer's view, the bobber experience seems to be raw, simple, and soulful. It really underscores that whole idea we talked about, stripping life down to what matters.
Yeah. And if we broaden that out a bit, connected to the bigger picture, it really raises an important question for you listening right now. What is it in your life that kind of acts as that statement of who you are? Or what's the thing that reminds you why you ride, and maybe ride here is metaphorical, right? Not just transport, but that thing that gives you a deeper connection, maybe to history or culture or just to yourself.
That's a great question. So maybe if you don't ride a bobber, perhaps it's time you figured out what your bobber is. You know,
your personal equivalent.
Right. That thing, or maybe it's a philosophy that helps you feel that sense of freedom, maybe in its rawest form. That thing that makes you slow down, savor the moments, and really represents who you truly are. It's worth considering maybe what stripping life down to the essentials could actually look like for you in your own circumstances.